something that's really great is that in the last administration, we didn't have an ethics committee that was functional. But now, as the DA, I'm the chairperson of the ethics committee, and I, in the last few months that's held this office, has held more meetings in the ethics committee than was held in the last administration. And ethics committee is very important because it deals directly with members and making sure that the ethical participation of the members within the House and just by the way that they carry themselves is done. Now, this ethics committee is meant to be ad hocly, but what I've done is at least ask, and now with it in the schedule, that these meetings are held quarterly instead of ad hocly, and we are having a training that is comprehensive and internationally recognized that's going to be coming to the members and the members of the ethics committee to be held. So I think that's very important. Another thing that I've been asked to deal with is the training of members. We are ready as a Democratic Alliance, with the help of the speakership, or as I'm part of, we now have an MOU with the National School of Governance that was not done before in KwaZulu-Natal. We will be working with the NSG to train members and make sure that members in the legislature are well equipped to be able to do their jobs. We need members who are able to debate ethically. We need members who are able to debate properly within the House and hold some decorum within the House that we've managed to do. What's really great is that the Speaker, for the lack of the better word, doesn't hog the legislature. She does allow me to be part of presiding over the meetings within the House in the way that we as the DA do see fit. So this legislature, in it being multi-party, has been very helpful so that we'll be able to put some of the ideas that we have been, campaigning about in the last few years in a way that will make sure we uphold the efficacy and the ethics that the legislature is needed, that we've seen was needed to happen when we got there. I was asked to provide presiding officers that will be presiding over the budget proceedings that are upcoming, and we've also managed to have two presiding officers that will be doing that, which is Dr. Imran Keeka next to me and Honourable Mmabatho Tembe, who will also be presiding officers over the budget period, which I think is quite helpful and has never happened before, and mainly so we can continue to play oversight. The legislature is always, as I said, seen in the background, but we are making sure that the engine room of the legislature is happening, and we can also make sure that the spending of the legislature is curbed. We're part of making those decisions, and if we weren't part, we will continue to see the decline in the legislature and how much money and wasteful expenditure has been done and has been spent on the past. So the GPU within the legislature and within the strategic leadership, which normally is always a joke, we call the top six, but it is the strategic leadership of three political parties. There's the speakership, the chief whip and the deputy chief whip, the chair of chairs and the deputy chair of chairs. And with this, these meetings are held quite regularly to make sure that we're all on the same page, we're all appraised, and we all can provide that sort of input. So the GPU in that sort of sense and holding the executive to account is currently functioning. As the leader did say, it's good that we're all not agreeable all the time so that we can have a discussion and that sort of the change of minds to also try and change the legislature, make it more modernized to the way that the world is being held in international standards. And I know for sure that the Speaker is really part of trying to allow us as the DA to be a big part of that. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mmabatho. And I think that really does take us in quite nicely to what Dr. Imran Keeka will cover, which is essentially how our committees in the legislature are composed and comprised of, and generally how they are working. Because aside from the executive and the cabinet, the committees play an important role in ensuring that KZN as a GPU is functional. Over to you, Dr. Keeka.
Thank you. Which other one?
All of them again, sorry.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Look, at the outset, I think it's important to note that we receive our marching orders from our leader, who's seated next to us. And in as much as we are part of the GPU, we remain fiercely independent in our ideas and ensuring that there is proper oversight. And part of the oversight ecosystem that exists within the legislature, the engine rooms of that oversight are the committees. I think if I look at it from the very beginning, I think as soon as committee chairpersons were elected, we hit the ground running. We can certainly say that for the committees that are chaired by the DA in particular. And there was a bit of a rough start. We had the opposition who did not want to participate at the beginning, but that's another story that I'm sure you are aware of. The functioning of the committees has never been better, I think. I've spent already, I think it's almost 15 years in the environment since I became a councillor initially, on the opposition benches first and now in government. So I've never seen the committees function better than they have ever before in terms of ensuring that the executive is held to account, and that is our job. The committees are comprised of 6 GPU members, 2 from the DA, 2 from the ANC, 2 from the IFP, 4 from the MK, and we have 1 from the minorities. The minorities are the EFF and the NFP, which has only 1 member in the legislature. I think it's important to mention this because there are definitely some political parties who did not make it to the legislature, and in as much as they didn't make it to the legislature, the engagements between those political parties that are outside there and the legislature continues, where they write to committee chairpersons, where they engage with us, and where the issues that they raise are certainly taken seriously, and the oversight functions regarding those continue to take place. So that ecosystem of oversight is what the legislature is all about in our view. I think in terms of the House rules and order, we have a very well-functional whips forum. From the very get-go, all political parties represented in the House participated in that whips forum, and it functions quite effectively. That effective functioning of the whips forum makes sure that there is order and decorum in the House. Yes, sometimes it does break down, but I think the presiding officers do a wonderful job in ensuring that takes place. We have a very mature caucus. We have a very experienced caucus. And our caucus, in terms of the GPU, as led by our leader, are certainly team players. And where we need to be in opposition, where we need to hold the executive to account, we have the marching orders to do this unashamedly. And I'll give you an example. Very recently, the Honorable Mgadi, who's sitting there, Sakila, our spokesperson of our caucus, used the committee and legislature systems available to us to ensure that Circular 29 that was issued by the HOD for education was chucked out, because that was something that was preventing individual MPLs from doing their work. I know how this feels when you are told that you can't do this. It is something that I was prevented from doing in the past, even by armed guards. I almost got thrown out of a hospital being dragged by my one leg. So that has come to an end. So representing the Health Portfolio Committee, I have unfettered access to facilities, and that improves our oversight ability and the mechanisms available to us. So we have a duty through the work of the committees, the legislature, the whippery, to ensure that we put citizens first and that we protect citizens from those things that are out there, and ensure that their concerns are raised and the issues raised with us are resolved. If we're not doing that, then we are not holding the executive to account, and that is our primary responsibility. The difference here is that we have those of us that are builders, and we have those in the legislature who are breakers. Without mentioning their name, I think you know who those are. I think we'll continue on that path to ensure that we do what needs to be done by placing the citizens of the province first, following the leadership of Francois Rodgers here, who will continue to hold us accountable as members of the caucus to ensure